So welcome to the Drawing Center's first ever DrawNow online workshop. And today I am going to give a presentation on the remarkable life, career, and artistic pursuits of mathematician, architect, and avant-garde composer Yannis Xenakis. So before I get started, I just want to say free DrawNow workshops are made possible by the Cy Twombly Foundation. The Drawing Center's education and community programs are made possible by the May and Samuel Rudin Family Foundation. Major support is provided by the Evelyn Toll Family Foundation, and additional support is provided in part by public funds from the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs in partnership with the City Council, the Robert Rauschenberg Foundation, and the Milton and Sally Avery Arts Foundation. So a little bit about myself. My name is Tiffany Shi, my full name. I'm currently on staff at the Drawing Center. I grew up as a classically trained pianist. I majored in music in college. I have done the occasional radio DJ slot and since have moved into being a visual artist. So I do find myself at the unique intersection to talk about Yannis Xenakis. So I'm super excited for that. Very excited to have you all here. Just so you all know, I am going to be using and controlling a lot of media. The image that you see that I'm sharing right now is actually from my iPad. I have Spotify playing on my computer and I'm talking over it. So I'm actually, at this point, I'm going to turn off my video just so I have one less distraction for myself. And, you know, if I'll leave it up to you, if you want to do the same, no judgment. But just so you know, later when we do start drawing, you might want to turn your video back on because I want to see your drawings, and I think everyone should see each other's drawings. So yeah, just a disclaimer. I will be talking over music throughout, so I apologize if, you know, at points it gets choppy, but this is a very conscious decision I've made because I've had way too many bad experiences with lazy music professors. I won't name names, but I've had bad music professors who basically took up all the class time playing music while we sat in silence. We didn't have any time to discuss, and I always thought, well, I wish I could have listened to it in advance so that we could discuss during class. And just so you know, sorry, it's a little bit loud right now, I know, so I'm gonna turn it down slightly. So just so you know, I will be sharing my Spotify playlist with everyone in a follow-up email, so you can all listen to it in your own time and enjoy it without me rambling over it. But with that said, please bear with me with any technical difficulties that might arise. And obviously, if you see that my screen stops sharing, please let me know via the chat box so that I can fix it. This is a full group. I think over 90 people have signed up. So in everyone's best interest, I have muted the group. And again, please chat to the group box and I'll do my best to respond as I go along. And, you know, feel free to talk amongst yourselves. I love a message board style running commentary. And also if you want to fact check me, I'm open, you know, I always want to be as accurate as possible. So please help me out in that way. I know this won't be an issue because you guys are a delightful group, but just want to remind everyone, please do keep your comments and chats to each other civil and polite. I have my colleague Nadia here as a silent co-host because she's helping me moderate the group discussion, and apparently Zoom hackers are a problem now, so she's also going to help me kick people out if they show up uninvited. So I'll just a rundown of what's going to happen today. I'll first give a background on Xenakis's life and history, and then we'll go through some examples of his compositional work. And then finally, we will try mapping out or drawing out some scores with some tracks that I've selected myself using Xenakis's visual style of mapping sound. You don't have to wait for the drawing exercise to start drawing. I personally love doodling while listening to music or watching videos, so I encourage you to do the same. And I have been getting a lot of questions, people asking me, what would you recommend? And I would say, if you have graph or lined paper, I mean, if you're a stickler for the way Xenakis did things, graph paper, lined paper is great, but not necessary. And also he did use a lot of color. So if you have markers or colored pencils or crayons even, that could be fun. But again, you don't need that. You really just need pencil or pen, piece of paper. Very simple. Awesome. So I'm going to get into it now. So I will start with just talking about exhibition in 2010. So most of what I'm drawing from today is going to be directly from the exhibition that was guest curated here at the Drawing Center by Sharon Kanach and Carrie Lovelace. And Sharon Kanach was actually Xenakis's right hand, his assistant for, I think, 20 years. And she and Carrie Lovelace were both composition students of his at the Sorbonne back in the 1970s. So it's really cool that we have, or the curators of our show were so close to the primary source. And so that's what I'm going to be drawing from mostly. And also I am seeing everyone saying hello, checking in from Rio in Finland, London, San Francisco, Toulouse. Oh, hi, Tiffany from Las Vegas. Yellow Springs, Ohio. I'm actually broadcasting from Columbus, Ohio today. Cool. I see, yeah, South Africa, Colombia, Indiana. That's awesome. I am so excited to be joined by people from all around the world and all the states. Excellent. So, okay, sorry, going back to Xenakis, I guess I'll get right into it. And let me know, so I've just flipped the image on my iPad. Can you all see the photo of Xenakis from his childhood now? I'm like zooming in on it. Okay, great. So this is a photo of him, Xenakis himself, with his brothers. He's the one on the right, and then his uncle Sophocles. So Yanis Xenakis was born in 1922. He studied music throughout grade school. His mother was the first person to really encourage him to pursue music. And then she actually passed away when he was 5 years old. So if you look through our catalog, there's an essay in there by his daughter, and she kind of alludes to how the family they really all believed that Xenakis was, this untimely death of his mother really spurred him to pursue music for the rest of his life. So that is, that's something I think is integral to who he was. So he studied music. He was in boys choir throughout grade school. Apparently, I found a video of Sharon Kanach talking about his childhood a little bit. Apparently, he was already graphing out J.S. Bach, Ravel, and Chopin. Chopin is my personal favorite composer, but he was already trying to graph out, visualize their music from a very early age, which is really cool. And I will share the video of Kanach talking about this later after the class. He was set to go to university. He was going to study architecture, engineering, composition, but then a conflict broke out between Greece and Italy. And then right after that, the Axis powers started occupying Greece during World War II. There's civil war, within Greece, and then Xenakis ended up joining the left-wing resistance. After the conflict ended, he actually ended up going through with getting a degree in civil engineering at the Technical University of Athens in 1947. So yeah, at this point, he's 25 years old when he has his degree in civil engineering. And then he was conscripted and served in the Greek army. And at that point, the Greek government, which was very conservative at the time, they started imprisoning former members of the left-wing resistance. So Xenakis just, he made the smart decision to kind of skedaddle out of there. And he ended up illegally immigrating to France. In the meantime, he was sentenced to death in absentia when he escaped. Where was I? Sorry. So when he, sorry, the music gets really loud at this point, so I'm gonna wait for it to pass. Okay. So when he got to France as an illegal immigrant, he ended up becoming the assistant to Le Corbusier, who is a very famous and controversial French-Swiss architect. I mean, just from what I've read about how Xenakis talked about it, he actually refers to his time with Le Corbusier as the 12 years that I dealt with him. So it seems like he didn't have the best experience, but it did end up propelling him to where he eventually got to. So I want to skip ahead to 1958, which is when the Brussels World Fair happened. It was the 1958 World Expo, took place in Brussels, and Le Corbusier was actually commissioned to design a space for that celebration. And it was also kind of a celebration of post-World War II to say yay, we're in a good place now. So what ended up happening was Le Corbusier, he, I guess, was really busy, and he ended up delegating the whole architectural project to Xenakis. And in the meantime, he also, Le Corbusier, he specifically commissioned, I'm going to turn it down slightly, the music. He commissioned a young French composer named Edgar Varese to compose a piece called Poème électronique, which is what we've been listening to on repeat this whole time. So Edgar Varese and Xenakis were both kind of proteges of Le Corbusier at the same time, and they sort of became friends through this association. And keep in mind, this is 1958. Electronic music was still in its infancy. There wasn't really what we think of as electronic music today is very much grounded within computer technology, but this is kind of pre-computers. So back then, electronic music was actually people manually splicing tape together to put sounds together that you wouldn't normally hear, which is super cool, very fascinating. And this is actually my entry point into knowing who Xenakis was. Because when I kind of briefly mentioned at the beginning, I majored in music in college. I was going to do piano performance, but kind of 2 years into my music major, I realized I don't want to be a professional classical musician. I don't want to practice piano for 8 hours a day. So I started branching out. I took a class called electronic music, which is how I learned about this piece, Poème électronique, and how I learned about Xenakis, because he ended up designing the building that Poème électronique was performed inside. And this building was called the Philips Pavilion. It's called the Philips Pavilion, named after the electronics company. So even back then, branding, corporate branding, was a big deal, I guess. So basically, Xenakis and Edgar Varese, the composer of this piece that we're listening to right now, they became friends. Xenakis ended up designing, oh, let me go for, oh yeah, this is, if you're looking at the screen, this is a photo of Xenakis on the right and Le Corbusier on the left, and they're on the way to the Phillips Pavilion. And I'll go, okay, so this is the Phillips Pavilion. So Xenakis designed this himself based on a very rudimentary sketch that Le Corbusier delegated to him. But he designed this, the Phillips Pavilion, with very much with acoustics in mind, thinking about how Varese's piece was going to be heard inside it. So what we're listening to right now, this recording, it actually, we don't actually know what it sounded like within the Phillips Pavilion because it was so customized. I mean, they were really working side by side to match each other's. Edgar Varese was designing the piece to be performed in this building, and the building was being designed to have this piece performed inside it. So what was I going to say? So it was open from May 1958 until the World's Fair ended in January 1959, and at which point it was torn down. So you can't actually visit this anymore. So it was, so just to give more background, the Phillips Pavilion was the world's first self-supporting hyperbolic paraboloid building and revolutionized volumetric architecture. I'm quoting that, as you can probably tell. But the other cool thing about this World Expo is it wasn't just Edgar Varese, who composed a piece, and I'm going to switch the music right now. So what we're hearing right now is a piece called Concrete pH, which is a piece that Xenakis himself composed to be heard inside Phillips Pavilion as the audience entered and exited the building. And he actually this was his first sort of, it's called Musique Concrète. It's his tape piece, and he took sounds derived from the sound of burning charcoal, like the snaps and the pops, and he slowed them down and sped some up. And much like you would today with music sampling, except it took a lot more effort back then because he had to manually splice the tape together. So it's just cool because they had these two pieces going on in here. And let's see, so if I go forward, oh yeah, this is the design. If you're looking at the screen, this is the design that Xenakis was working off of. And this is another photo of the Phillips Pavilion. The other thing too, was the interior of the pavilion was also lit by a constantly changing pattern of colored lights. And in addition to the film, 3 separate projectors showed additional still photos on the walls. And this photo that you're seeing right now, this is not from the Phillips Pavilion, but it is from a different show that Xenakis designed. And as you can see, it's super futuristic. Yeah, so actually, I'll get to this, how you can see the slides later. These are actually directly from the catalog, and I will share how you can view them online. It's a super great resource. So yeah, thank you for asking. So, I mean, I don't know if any of you have been, or those of you who are from New York, this looks like a show that you would see today at the National Sawdust, or like Pioneer Works. It's just, it's so futuristic. And keep in mind, 1958, it was around the same time as Elvis, a little bit before the Beatles, but they're already putting on super modern looking shows like this. So, think cutting edge avant-garde. I have one more, or I guess 2 more things to share. So after the World Expo, there was a whole drama between Xenakis and Le Corbusier, because apparently Le Corbusier didn't give him credit for designing this space, even though he did the whole thing, and he ended up quitting working for him, or Xenakis ended up quitting working for Le Corbusier after the World Expo to go to focus full-time on music. And I think Edgar Varese actually took Xenakis' side in this whole thing, which just goes to show how deep these these personal dramas go. Oh, and then the last thing I want to share is just a wild fact that I couldn't resist. So apparently, within the space, the speakers were set into the walls, which were coated in asbestos, creating a textured look to the walls. Varese drew up a detailed spatialization scheme for the entire piece, which made great use of the physical layout of the pavilion, especially the height of it. Oh, sorry, we just went to the next piece. Okay, so the asbestos hardened the walls, which created a cavernous acoustic. That is just, I mean, they didn't know any better, I guess. But when I read that, I just thought that's a lawsuit waiting to happen. And I'm glad that they ended up tearing down the Phillips Pavilion after the World Expo, because who knows the human toll that could have taken. All right, so I'm gonna go straight into Xenakis' method and notation now. If you have any questions, just type it into the chat box. I'll try to answer as I go along. So right here, let me move on to the next piece. So yeah, so right now what we're hearing is Pithopracta, which is a piece that Xenakis put out in 1955. So this is actually going backwards 3 years prior to the World Expo in the Phillips Pavilion. So I've zoomed in a little bit. As you can see, this is a sketch that Xenakis later rendered into music. And as you can see, like, he was a very visual person. And Xenakis is very much the running theme, the running vein throughout his work is he visualizes the actual space that music takes on a page. And for me, I'd never really understood with like theoretical physics where they talked about, you know, theory that space equals time. I couldn't really visualize that until I looked at it through this specific lens, because I realized music does take a lot of space in the form of time. And the reason I know this is because I'm going to go back to talking about my school experience of being a music major. I was always so jealous of my art history major friends who could just study and memorize art images for their tests so quickly compared to the hours of time that I and the other music majors had to spend listening to and memorizing, you know, like 20-minute pieces of music. Because during the test, the teacher would just play 10 seconds of this 20-minute piece of music that I had to ID. And there's just no way to get around listening to music. It takes time, and the time is the space that it takes up. And it's so clearly illustrated in the way that Xenakis designed his music. So I'm gonna go through, so I guess I'll go into some background on Pithopracta specifically. So in this piece, Xenakis actually, he conceptualized each instrument as a molecule that is, and I'm gonna read off this now. Each instrument is conceived as a molecule obeying the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution law with Gaussian distribution of temperature fluctuation. This theory states that the temperature of gas derives from the independent movement of its molecules. So Xenakis was drawing an analogy between the movement of a gas molecule through space by comparing it to the movement of a string instrument moving through its pitch range. So he's constructing the movement of gas by having the strings go up and down their pitch. And he governed the molecules, quote unquote, according to a coherent sequence of imaginary temperatures and pressures. So he's basically, in this piece, he is visualizing a physics concept of gas molecules moving through space. And he's basically using math as a means to organize music, which is really cool. And yes, exactly. It's very much the same thing as using charcoal and the heat and the sound of that, but he's getting even more technical here. As I go through, here's another page. So this is a study for the same exact piece. And just to give you a sense of the timeline that we're in, so this piece is taking place in 1955. The first computer language called COBOL was designed by Grace Hopper in 1953. Fortran came out in 1954, and then the first computer chip was developed in 1958. So that's 3 years after this piece, same year as Philips Pavilion and Home Electronique and Concrete PH and all that drama. So Xenakis was math rock before math rock. He was actually manually computing music before computers existed to do that for you. Which is, I don't know, I can't even imagine what that is like to be so ahead of your time like that. But let's see. Oh yeah, here's another one. He's crunching, and I apologize in advance for the poor resolution, but hopefully you can see it better when you go straight to the PDF online. But yeah, he is actually manually computing the drawing here into the actual placement of the music notations. So here is how the score for the music looks. I actually have no idea how he chose his scientific models. I think he just picked something and then ran with it, to be honest. I think it was just purely based on what he was personally interested in. But if you look at this score, it is a mess. It would actually, just speaking from a musician's perspective, it would actually be easier for the musicians to put earplugs in and just watch the conductor to keep time, because if you had to sit next to everyone else playing their parts, it would just mess you up big time. But yeah, it's just fast. The fact that I think a lot of when his music first came out, the classical community really they did not like it. They rejected it wholeheartedly because it, to people who are just listening, this doesn't sound like music. But the reason that it was rejected was because he was actually, instead of using, I guess let me back up a little bit. So math and music have always been intertwined. Traditional concepts of harmony and what sounds good to the ear have been proven through mathematical means since Aristotle's time, maybe even before that. The reason Xenakis is special is because he actually reversed the process by using math first and then realizing the music after that, instead of using melodies to prove, or using math to prove why melody is melodic. And just an interesting aside, when I was in high school, I actually would go to Philadelphia to take piano lessons from an adjunct professor at Temple University. And I remember my piano teacher told me once that Temple students at the time, at least, they were allowed to fulfill their math or quantitative course requirements by taking music theory, which is, I don't know, that's really cool to me that it's always been, math and music have always gone hand in hand together, but people just got mad at Xenakis because he made music that was not enjoyable to hear. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know about you, but this is not easy listening. this isn't something I would listen to after, you know, a long day at work, kick off my shoes and put this on. But I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe this is something you like to listen to in your free time, and maybe that's why you're here. um, so I shouldn't, you know, I guess I shouldn't judge so quickly. But yeah, as you can see, the reason I appreciate what Xenakis does is he doesn't just stop at, you know, the mathematical theories. He doesn't just stop at the pretty drawings and the mathematical theories. He actually goes through the effort to realize the music on a traditional notation basis. And, you know, it's coming from, you know, he's basing this on his understanding of math, and he's also a trained musician in the classical sense. So it's very legitimate. And you know, the fact that he could transcribe it to be performed by musicians, you know, that's a crucial step to the art, I think. And it's also just cool because you can clearly see that seeing was hearing for Xenakis. Seeing and hearing were, I mean, there's strong evidence that he had synesthesia, and I don't know, to me, it was such a special gift that he could share, to be able to share his synesthesia. It's his own man-made synesthesia that everyone can now experience because he took the effort to put it on paper. So I'm actually going to switch over. So I will be, rest assured, I'm going to be sharing all of my resources that I've used so far, as well as my Spotify playlist that I put together, as well as some more music that isn't even included today, but I still think it would be cool to share. So don't worry, you're going to get everything. So I'm actually going to switch over to, this is risky. I'm going to switch to my computer screen, and we are going to actually watch someone's rendering of Pitheprocta. So let's try this. Oh my gosh, I'm scared. Bear with me. Okay, can everyone see my screen on my computer now? Yes? Okay, great. So let me minimize this. So this is someone's graphical rendering of Pitheprocta, which is the piece that we have been listening to. Really quick: arco, pizzicato, collegno, collegno battuto, suo ponticello, frappe. Those are all different ways to play a string instrument. And let's see. Oh, sorry. Let me make sure the music is paused here. Okay. So, really quick, I just want to show you some wild. All right, let's start here. Yeah. that part looks to me like this back half of the whale. This upcoming part looks like the back half of a human with flippers. So okay, so I'm gonna switch back to my iPad. All right, bear with me 1 second. Okay. So, and let me pause the video now. Okay. So it is, I don't know how much you saw of that, but I immediately thought about, has anyone here played those Rock Band Guitar Hero games? Because I personally love those. And it occurred to me that this way of kind of graphically seeing sound wouldn't be possible without Xenakis first doing everything that he did. And it's, I don't know, I especially if you play Rock Band with the vocals, it is denoted exactly the way that we just saw in that YouTube video, where it's a line, it goes up and down, and you have to use your voice to match the pitch that is being graphically mapped on the screen of that video game. But I just, I thought that was really cool to share because, Xenakis to me is the forefather of electronic music. He did, and even though what he did technically wasn't electronic, we wouldn't, he was doing stuff that we do with computer music nowadays that wasn't even available because computers weren't available. The other thing, oh yeah, I just want to quickly go through. So here is another piece, Acheropsis, that it's very different, but so apparently each of these rows, as you can see, there's flutes. I see glissando, which is going up and down on scale wise. Percussion, pizzicato, which is when you pluck the string on a string instrument. And then arco, I don't know, curves, I don't know. But then arco just means the traditional way that you play a string instrument by dragging the bow across the strings. So I wanted to go through this as another example and, for inspiration when we start drawing later. He uses different colors to represent different ways of attacking the music. And each slice, I guess each vertical column is, I think 15-second time slices. So this piece was actually eventually realized on a computer. A lot of, so the colors represent different dimensions. And it's unclear to me, let's see, there's they represented different events within the square. So that might be something that only Xenakis can tell you, or maybe, his assistants. But right now I think when we start doing the drawing exercise, you can actually assign colors to whatever you want. It can be different instruments. It can be the different sound, like the different types of sounds that you hear. If you hear like a glissando, you can make that green. If you hear like a loud tapping noise, that can be red. It really is up to you. I want to leave it as open-ended as possible. Yes, exactly, it can be spontaneous. And one more fun fact I just wanted to add, he did, some of his pieces were actually impossible to play. For example, he had a solo piano piece called Evriali that features a high C sharp that goes off the keyboard. So piano has 88 keys. He put a C sharp in that was beyond the top of the keyboard, which is the ultimate prank, I think, on a musician. I just love that he did that. Okay, so let's try drawing. How about that? So I'm gonna give everyone a couple of minutes. If you haven't already, grab a piece of paper, or if you are digital, you can go on your iPad and sketch that way. All you really need is a piece of paper and something to draw with. If you have colors, I mean, all the examples I've gone through so far have had a lot of colors. That's great, but I actually think that having monochromatic media can help you focus on bringing more texture to the sound. So, if you hear like, bleep bloops, which is my really technical term of computer music, you can denote that with little circles, bubbles, stars, whatever you hear. I'm not here to police how you decide to draw. I'm going to be playing music of an artist named Kay Lemur, or Carrie Lemur. He's a Seattle-based sort of sound electronic artist who's been making music since the 1970s, and he uses like found sounds, and I think just from me listening, but all the music I've listened to in my life, I feel like I can trace a very strong connection between Kay Lemur and Xenakis. So and also he made, I happened to find some tracks that are actually kind of perfect for this exercise. So let's start drawing. This one is called Bump in the Night, and it is a 16-second piece. So I'm gonna play it first. I recommend let's just start by listening. And yeah, I'm gonna start it now. So that is Bump in the Night. So let's think about the layers of the sound. So think about how you want to stratify the parts that you heard. I heard like something on the low register, which was the bump in the night, and then I also heard, you know, like very insect type cicada-like chirpings at the top. So let's listen to it again, and now we can start actually putting marks on the page. So, I mean, feel free to comment, question what you thought. I don't know if you want to, feel free to describe what you just heard. Actually, let me put up the first image of Pitheprocta if you want to use that as a reference too. So let's listen again, and then we can start adding some texture to, you know, hopefully the outline that you started. So again, this piece is called Bump in the Night by Kay Lemur. Yeah. Yeah, it would definitely help to have 4 or 5 hands to do this exercise. Thanks, Timothy. Yeah, so I don't know, does anyone, do you want to hear it again, or like maybe I'll just play it one more time, and then actually I'd like to see everyone's work. If you guys, I know some of you have your videos turned off, but I hope that you feel comfortable sharing. You can turn your videos back on and just hold your pieces up at the end of this, but I'm going to play it one more time. So here it goes. All right. Are you guys ready to share? Can I see? Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, I see someone on an iPad. That's super cool. Lots of lines. Oh, wow. Oh my God. How did you get that all on the page so quickly? Oh, that's cool. Someone drew like little circlets. Oh, oh yeah, some of you went the way of Xenakis and you drew out the grid. That is, yep, I can visualize the music right there. Oh yeah, and then someone drew, it looks like there's like a line, a path tracing into a hole that the music is falling into. Oh, this is so cool, guys. Oh, also, I just want you to know, if you feel comfortable sharing, please post this on social media and tag the Drawing Center. We're gonna try and post as many as we can, repost and share as many of your drawings as we can, and I highly encourage you to do that. Because I think the world needs to see these. This is excellent. I love everything that I'm seeing so far. Cool. There's like a snake-like one I see. Yeah, this one's a really captures the creepiness of this piece. That looks great. Okay, so let's go to the next one. The musician, so again, his name is Kay Lemur, sometimes abbreviated to Kay Lemur. It's spelled Leimer. And again, I'm going to be sharing this Spotify playlist with everyone after the show. So you don't worry about writing all this down right now. Oh yeah, yeah. So some of you know who he is. Yeah, he's brilliant. I love his work. All right, so let's go to the next one. This one is also a track by Kay Lemur, and it's called At Daybreak. It's a little bit longer. It's a minute 31 seconds. So I think maybe I'll put up this one as a reference. That's also an option. So I'm going to start it now. All right, so that was the first playing. I'm gonna play it one more time, but how does everyone feel so far? It's probably the most relaxing song I've played so far. And again, it's called At Daybreak by Kay Lemur, and I will share it with you afterwards, so don't panic. You're gonna get it. All right, so I'm gonna play it one more time, and then I'd love to see what you guys came up with. All right, that's it. I'd love to see what you guys came up with. Yeah, or take a few seconds to finish up your thoughts. Oh, I love that one. Someone drew out a grid. Oh my God, person with the iPad is an amazing artist. Please post this somewhere so we could see it publicly. All right, let's see. Oh, cool. Okay, I see someone. Oh, I love the one with the scribbles. It looks like there's like glasses maybe. I'm sorry. I'm sorry guys. Don't mean to insult you. I nothing but love. Oh, someone drew daybreak. I see suns. Okay, cool. I see a grid with like different levels. Oh, that's Duncan. Nice. Nice, Duncan. Shout out. Oh wow. Yeah, some of these are super technical looking, like very Xenakis like. I think he would be very proud. Cool. So again, please post this and post this to your Instagrams, tag the Drawing Center, or you can email it to us, whatever you feel like doing. We'd love to share. And unfortunately, this is a limitation of an online workshop, is we can't just all show each other in person, but next best thing, social media. All right, so I have another one for you guys. So I don't know if you're ready for this. I think some of you are gonna recognize this instantly. It's actually one of my personal favorite pieces of music. It's 6 seconds long, by the way. So I'm gonna play it now. That's it. Yep, Travis, you got it. It's Brian Eno and his very classic rendition, or not rendition, it's the Windows 95 startup sound. I love this piece of music. I just think it's, in a nutshell, I mean, I read an interview with him where he talked about how Microsoft, they commissioned him to make a piece that is inspiring, universal, optimistic, futuristic, sentimental, and emotional. And they wanted it to be 3.5 seconds long, but it's actually 6 seconds long, so he broke that rule. Thanks, Kathy. I just saw your text. Yeah, so I'm gonna play it again. It's just, and oh yeah, the most ironic part of this is it was composed on a Mac, which I just love that. I just take that, Microsoft. All right, I'm gonna play it again. Yep, so that was Brian Eno, king of ambient. If you don't know about him, I really recommend looking him up. And yeah, do you guys want to show what you drew? I would love to see. And again, it's my personal opinion that without Giannis Xenakis, we wouldn't have Brian Eno. That's just a fact. So thank you, Xenakis, for opening the doors to future ambient electronic musicians for us. All right, cool. Oh, cool. That's amazing. I see, wow, you guys really ran with this. This is awesome. Please, yeah, if anything, please post your Windows 95 startup sound music drawings to the Drawing Center. I think this might be your best work yet. Okay, so we have about 5 minutes left. So I do want to start wrapping things up. Yes, I think all of these drawings were amazing. I encourage you all, again, share the work you made on Instagram, tag the Drawing Center. We'll pick as many of your works as we can to repost on our account, so don't be shy. All of the images that I used today were taken directly from Drawing Papers 88, which is the catalog that accompanied our 2010 exhibition of his work. Unfortunately, it was sold out pretty much instantly, but it is available to read in its entirety for free online. So if you go to our website, drawingcenter.org, you can find it under the bookstore section and just find Drawing Papers 88 or look up Giannis Xenakis. The other thing is I will be sharing the Spotify playlist I made for today's workshop. Everything we heard today is in this playlist, plus some bonus tracks by artists that I find adjacent to or influenced by Xenakis that I didn't have time to cover, including musicians of color. Experimental and avant-garde musicians of color are included on this playlist. As a musician of color. I really wanted to talk more about this, but I really feel like it deserves its own session. So, you know, wink, wink, Drawing Center, maybe we could do part 2, I don't know. But it does feature musicians, including DJ Spooky, Alex Zhang Hungtai, who used to be known as Dirty Beaches, Otis G. Johnson, and also the legendary Namjoon Paik. Bet you didn't know he also made music. If you have any additional questions, you can email me at TSHI, that's my name, first initial, last name, TSHI at drawingcenter.org. Thank you so much to the Drawing Center today for letting me run wild with this class, and a huge thanks to you all for attending and being a part of my, you know, this inaugural online workshop. So I will be following up with everyone who signed up via email. I'll share not just the playlists, but also all of my resources that I used today. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. This was super fun. I hope to do this again, and I hope to see you all again. Yeah. All right. So I guess I'm gonna stop this video. So if you have any questions, again, please reach out. Thank you again so much for joining me. All right. Bye.